America's $7 trillion retirement crisis is only getting worse. It's getting worse. How dare you even think about retiring? How dare you? Yeah, I came across my feed here from Advisor Perspectives, and I was like, what's going on here? I saw this, even when everything was going right, inflation was non-existent, interest rates were low, there was a multi-trillion-dollar savings shortfall, and then came the pandemic, the war in Europe, decades-high inflation, the fastest rate-hiking cycle since the early 80s, and fears of recession. The resulting market turmoil erased some 3.4 trillion from investable assets, according to Alicia Munell at Boston College Centers for Retirement Research. And then I clicked. I said, I get it. And that's just for people who have retirement accounts. About half of private sector workers don't even have an employer-sponsored retirement plan. And many who do are saving very little. It's a problem that isn't easily fixed and contributes to the sense that the American dream is in a decline. America. And while surging inflation and volatile markets are bad news for people nearing retirement, the picture may be even worse for young Americans. They're priced out of the housing market, struggling to build wealth, and buried under mountains of student loan debt. Richard Johnson, who is a retirement expert at the Urban Institute, says living standards are going to decline for a large population who are in retirement, and that's a concern. In 2019, Boston College estimated there's a $7.1 trillion retirement savings shortfall, with half of them facing lower living standards once they stop working. That number likely hasn't changed much. The people who profited from that over the last 3 years, the increase in housing and investments, were people who weren't at risk to begin with, says Alicia Munell. Until the Great Depression, Americans worked until they died or simply couldn't anymore, at which point they'd depend on charity or extended family support. The misery of the 30s prompted the introduction of this. I'm trying to be serious. This whole thing is so stupid. Let's see. But the generous defined benefit pension plans of old largely disappeared as companies cut costs and embraced 401ks. The plans work quite well for the top third of workers, not so much for the middle third, and not at all for the lower third. The top third always work for companies with 401ks. The middle third go in and out of employment with coverage and end up with smaller balances. And they're likely to be entirely dependent on Social Security. I think Alicia needs to read my book, You Can Retire on Social Security. And things are likely to get worse as the baby boom generation retires. The number of Americans aged 65 and older is set to increase to 73 million. All right, so let's talk. And I just I know where this came from, but I clicked on the link, and this whole thing is so flippin' stupid. How would more savings affect the national retirement risk index? So again, where they're basing this shortfall is from Alicia Munell's and Center for Retirement Research at Boston College. I've done videos on this, and I'll continue to do it. It gives me continual content because this is so freaking stupid. I used to be somewhat fond of the folks at CRR, Centers for Retirement Research. When I first started reading their stuff, probably 2005 or something like that. Slowly but surely, it was the same regurgitation that I read and read and read. And if you actually just take a moment to read this damn thing, pardon my French, you recognize it's the same thing, and it's completely based on junk in, thus junk out. And I'm going to explain it to you because it's so freaking stupid. It actually infuriates me. And then Bloomberg just feeds off it because it's clickbait. I get it. But it just infuriates me because there's no one that's going to retire the way these people say. It's nuts. All right, so let's go into it. I guess what do I do here? So let's go down here first. The National Retirement Risk Index shows that half of today's working families are at risk of not being able to maintain their standard of living once they retire. So that should maintain their standard of living once they retire. So that leads me to something. Interesting. All right, and let's see. The result is not surprising since at any point about half of private sector workers do not have access to an employer-sponsored retirement plan. Okay, that's interesting. All right, so then we're going to go down here. We're going to see the first section recaps the nuts and bolts of the National Retirement Risk Index. We'll talk about it here in a second. The second reports the impact of the NRRI on increasing contribution rates for both 401ks. Don't care. The third section discusses why the impacts appear to be modest, and the fourth section we're really shooting for here shows that the only way to dramatically reduce the percentage of households at risk is to combine additional savings with 2 more years of work. Sponsored by Fidelity. I don't know if they're sponsored by Fidelity, probably, because they're Boston. Fidelity's in Boston. But first, increasing savings is realistic only for workers who have access to a retirement plan at work. In the absence of sex coverage, millions of households have no easy way to save. What? If you don't have a retirement plan at work, it's hard to save. I think you can open an account at M1, Schwab, Betterment for literally nothing there, Alicia. It's freaking stupid. I'm sorry, it's stupid to say, in the absence of having a retirement plan at work, millions of households have no easy way to save. It's stupid. I'm sick of this crap. I'm so sick of this crap. Sorry, I'm being negative. How they construct the National Retirement Risk Index, it involves 3 steps. Projecting a replacement rate. Retirement income is a share of pre-retirement income for a nationally representative sample. So again, how much income do we need in retirement relative to pre-retirement income? Okay. Constructing a target replacement rate that would allow each household to maintain its pre-retirement standard of living. And comparing the two. Just so freaking stupid. We're going to come down here. Retirement income at age 65. So we're talking about retirement income when we hit 65 is what we're basing this on. Retirement income at age 65, which is defined broadly to include all the usual suspects, Social Security, I guess your 401ks, plus household, plus housing. All right, so retirement income at 65 is derived by projecting the assets that households will hold at retirement based on the stable relationship between age and wealth to income ratios that is evident from the surveys of consumer finance. Okay, again, retirement at 65 is when we're starting our baseline, which is defined as all the usual suspects, pensions if you have one, Social Security, and projecting the assets that households will have at retirement. Okay, that's your retirement income. Sources of retirement income that are not derived from the survey of consumer finances are estimated directly. For defined benefit, well, we're not even going to include pensions here, right? Let's see. For Social Security, benefits are calculated directly based on estimated earnings, and I get that. We're going to do some benefit projection of Social Security. I get that. All right, right here's a big one. A calculation of projected replacement rates requires income prior to retirement. Because remember, the whole purpose of the National Retirement Risk Index is how many people projecting a replacement rate to continue your standard of living in retirement. So we have to know what our pre-retirement income is and then compare it to our post-retirement income and see if we can keep that standard of living. A calculation of projected replacement rates requires knowing income prior to retirement. The items that comprise pre-retirement income includes earnings, the return on taxable financial assets, but I thought you said it's hard to save if we don't have access to an employer plan, and imputed rent from housing. A calculation of income prior to retirement includes imputed rent from housing. Now, I know what the hell that means, but what the hell does that mean in terms of replacement rate? I've talked about imputed income before, the benefits of it when you have no mortgage. To use that imputed income as an income need or as an income source pre-retirement and saying I need to have a percentage of that post-retirement is freaking dumb, man. It's dumb. In essence, income in retirement equates the annuitized value of all financial and housing assets. So they're going to say we have imputed income from your house pre-retirement. In post-retirement, we're going to annuitize everything to include your housing assets. Determining the share of the population at risk requires comparing projected replacement rates with appropriate target rates. And basically saying if they're 10%, yeah, right here. Households whose projected replacement rates are more than 10% below the target are deemed to be at risk of having insufficient income to maintain their pre-retirement standard of living. All right, and I've said this 1,000 times this Sunday. I'm 52. I'm working. I got 4 kiddos. My pre-retirement income is way up here, man. Way up here. That's my pre-retirement income and my pre-retirement income needs. Pre-retirement income and pre-retirement income needs. We'll just say my pre-retirement income and income needs are $100,000 because basically when you're working, you spend all the money you got. You pay down your mortgage, you put the rest in savings or a brokerage account of some sort, and everything else goes for college, for puppies, for freaking Air Jordans, you name it. All right. On top of that, you got your 401k contributions, you got your FICA taxes, you got your income taxes, you got your property tax, you got your auto insurance bill when you have 2 boys coming up, I got 4 kids, you got your homeowner's insurance, all that stuff. When I am in retirement, my retirement income needs, my RIN, is going to drop like a brick in water. And I will maintain my standard of living. Because my standard of living is 3 hots and a cot, basically. Because once my kids are out of the house, my homeowner's insurance drops because I'll downsize my home. My auto insurance will drop because I will not have 2 boys on my auto insurance. I won't have cell phone coverage for 4 or for 6. I won't have this, I won't have that. Food to feed 6, the whole thing. It'll be me, Char, and my dogs. That's it. Will I have other expenses for the kids? Absolutely. Will that be the same expenses I've had now? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's freaking stupid, man. Everybody knows this. Reality. Use some reality, common sense here. And then to turn around and say, well, Josh, your mortgage is paid off, so your imputed rental income is $2,500 a month. That's $30,000 a year. So now we're going to take that $30,000 plus your income and say you need $100,000 a year, or let's just say $80,000 of pre-retirement income, or the ratio. We have a replacement rate of 80%, which I've talked about 1,000 times a Sunday, which is stupid. So you might have $100,000 pre-retirement, but you only need $80,000 post-retirement, and we're going to annuitize everything. Okay. That makes sense. And yet Bloomberg and all these other idiots I'm pissed off by this stuff. Sorry, man. All right, and we see right here, 50% of Americans are the risk index. And then an increase in, there are 2 things: work longer, increase your income, increase your savings. An increase in contribution rates needs to be considered separately for 2 types of households: those with access to 401k plans and those who currently have no plan at work. And then she goes on to say, I want to show you something real quick. Let's see if I highlighted it. Yeah, right here. The results suggest that a 5 percentage point increase in the contribution rate has only a relatively modest impact on the national risk index. That's it. Crazy. All right. It's just the whole thing says. Before the assumed increase, if we have a 5% increase, it's only going to reduce the amount that we are at risk from 7.1 trillion to 5.4 trillion. If we increase our retirement contributions by 5%, it's still going to have a $5.4 trillion gap in your risk. All right, so what's the other alternative? And well, of course, brought to you by T. Rowe Price. Working longer sharply improves the retirement readiness of households. Specifically, the percentage of households at risk would be cut more than a third if the retirement age went from 65 to 67. All right, the key to this impact is the structure of Social Security benefits, because then you don't take it reduced and all that. I get on. So anyway, the only way to make a dramatic dent in retirement risk problem is to combine savings and working 2 more years. This option reduces the NRRI risk by more than half, so you still have over $3 trillion in risk, lowering the percentage of today's working households at risk to less than 25%. It's so freaking stupid. I'm sorry. We got Thaler. It's kind of funny. Because Nassim Nicholas Taleb takes on Thaler a lot, actually. We got Alicia Manel. I know, like I used to treat these people with kid gloves. I can't do that anymore. After what happened in 2020 and 21, how many people have succumbed because they never took time to spend time with their wife in retirement? Never took time to go on that trip with their husband to Norway or whatever the hell it is. You know what I'm saying? We don't have the option. We don't have the luxury anymore of treating insanity with kid gloves. You have to fight insanity with just absolutely you have to fight back, man, because it's just idiotic. It's idiotic. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of idiotic stuff that are frightening people to continue to work longer than they should, so that way they can't enjoy what they have got on this earth, which is the God's creation, to go and do something that's enjoyable, to create memories that will last for the rest of your life with your beautiful. Nah, kiss my butt. All right, love to hear your thoughts. See you.